Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Red Devils Disciples, where the Wolves Man United game has just finished and it's ended up 4-3 towards Man United. What a game, some highs, some lows, some great things that we saw and some not so great things that we saw. Let's go through them, shall we? So first of all, this is 9th place Man United away against Wolves, who are currently 11th and have in great form at the moment. Initially I predicted a 3-1 scoreline to Man United. Or I should say 1-3 because we're away from home. However, it did end up 4-3 for us, or 3-4 if you want to allocate it in the right direction. Big win for us, very important win for us, something that we did need to do today. It puts us up into 7th place, starts the climb back up the table, trying to catch up with the Champions League spots. I think it's one of those situations where we need to build some momentum, and today was big. First half, immediately you could see that we started with a much higher line, and there's no surprise, especially as we've got our starting defense on the pitch. So we got Shaw, obviously, we had Martinez, Varane, and Dalot. Whenever Martinez and Varane play, we tend to play a little bit higher up the line, up the pitch, shall we say, with a much higher pressing line. Rashford got a great goal on the 5th minute. Good assist from Højlund. Almost like he started the game like he had something to prove today, which I'm not surprised, and we'll go into a bit more detail with that in a bit. Then Højlund got a lovely goal on the 22nd minute with an assist from Shaw. When I say lovely, it was one of those where he hustled to get into the box and get into the ball. Shaw with an overlap and run, which was great to see. Crossed it in, and Højlund just got there first. It was down to hustle, essentially. We then got 2 disallowed goals where Højlund scored a lovely goal, great finish, did well to finish that shot, but he was offside, and then Casemiro from a cross also from Bruno was offside. The Højlund one was actually Garnacho with a really good play where he was dribbling towards the left side of the pitch and then switched the ball and played him through, but unfortunately again he needs to learn to hold the line a little bit better. In terms of our defensive centre mids today, I think one of the things that we do need to say is when Mainu and Casemiro were both on the pitch, they looked really well as a partnership. They worked well together. Casemiro kept dropping into the centre-backs, in between the centre-backs, allowing the wing-backs to bombard forward and overlap, giving that sort of third-man cover, which made a massive difference. And you could see we almost, at times, also dropped into a back five with Casemiro in there, and then Bruno and Mainu would drop in together in front. I did see something good today in terms of the first half where I saw hunting in packs, and I have a very clear image in my head of on the right side of the pitch where we had Varane, Dalot and Nacho hunting together to get the ball back, and you could see they were almost pressing man to man and just pushing to force turnovers, and it works really well in the first half. I honestly would say that the first half was probably the best half of football I've seen from Man United this year, as in the whole season. So it was really good to see, and it was good to see the first team starting to pick up pace now. In the second half, as always with Man United, my worry was the first 5 minutes. And I said this previously in my last video, every first 5 minutes there's some way something happens, we can see the goal or we come nearby. This time it was again Onana caught out of position. It came from a foul which Martinez got a yellow card. It was an unnecessary foul, and the cross came in and Onana just run towards the ball, jumped in the air. It almost reminded me back to the first game of the season where he clattered the player, but this time he didn't clatter anyone, but the ball was headed over him and Martinez cleared it just off the line, preventing a definite goal. And what we saw was United were just trying to press Wolves off the pitch, and it worked for a little bit. And to be honest with you, at this point we should have killed the game off. We just for some reason didn't have that kill instinct to get that third goal and just end the game. And I knew at that point we were in for a bit of trouble. Wolves made it 2-1 on the 67th minute with a penalty. I'll be honest with you, it shouldn't have been given as a penalty. Last night, Virgil van Dijk had a foul or a penalty given against him that was a lot worse than the one that we saw today. But essentially what happened was Casemiro brushed Neto. Neto then did the typical thing where you dive and throw your arms and feet up in the air. Ref gave it as a penalty, and then VAR, who saw that in slow time, just didn't overturn it. But, they've been given before, so it's not like it hasn't been given. And quite frankly, it's our own fault for not killing off the game. Sarabia scored a great penalty there and made it 2-1. And then in the 74th minute, 2 minutes after Scott McTominay got subbed in, he scored a lovely goal from a corner. It was almost like he was a bit surprised. The ball kind of bounced into the area. McTominay headed wide open, scored a good goal. I mean, this is what McTominay should be used for in this team. Is, you know, when you're after a goal or when you're pushing forward, he is a great substitute to have because obviously he always brings up the energy. And then we saw him. He came on for Højlund, and we saw him sort of pushing a bit further forward. No, he didn't come on for Højlund. Højlund came off later, but we saw him playing up front when Højlund did come off, and you saw that up front he can actually be quite effective. And the assist was from Bruno from the corner, which was great. In terms of the 3-2, it was Kilman with a scrappy goal on the 84th minute. Came from a corner again. It was very poor defending. The ball dropped to him. Nobody was closing out, and the shot literally. Again, I'm not sure what Andre Onana was thinking. He just stood there with his arms wide open and just let the ball hit him in the chest instead of trying to use his arms to stop the ball. Almost like he was trying to make himself big. Something that it just didn't work. It bounced off his chest and went into the back of the net. And then on the 95th minute, we had a corner. We're pressing to try and kill off the game. I don't know why we had so many players forward in the 95th minute. I think that was a bit naive from us. And I think that we should have kept some players back. But what ended up happening was on the counter attack, you know, we basically got caught out. And then, lucky for us, 2 minutes later, Mainu grabbed the ball in the Wolves half, dribbled past 3 or 4 players, including nutmegging one of the players. Very calm, cool, collectively controlled the ball, slotted it in the bottom left-hand corner of the keeper. As cool as you like. And then his celebration after it. I mean, it was one of those where you can tell that this guy is going to be something special in the future for us. Definitely someone we want to keep an eye on, and definitely someone that is very exciting to watch at the moment. In terms of possession, today we gave up most of the possession. Wolves had 53%, we had 47% roughly. We had more shots than they did. We had 21 shots to their 16, 8 on target for us, you know, and we got 4 goals from those 8, and they had 7 on target and got 3 goals from those 7. I think it was a game where obviously we're away from home. First half we dominated, Wolves dominated the second half. Just quickly looking at the squad that I predicted, or that I would have put out, sorry, not predicted. You can see it's very similar to the squad that was put out. I would have started Antony instead of Rashford. Completely understandable why Rashford started. I did state in the preview that he is our best winger. It's just for disciplinary purposes. I probably would have started him on the bench and brought him on later. However, Ten Hag was proven right with starting him, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I would have started Bayern, and I still stick by the fact that I would still start Bayern, and we'll go into that now when we discuss individual player performances. But this is the squad that Ten Hag selected. So you can see there, it's just switching Garnacho to the right wing, starting Rashford at left, and obviously starting Onana. I completely understand why Onana starts. Like I said previously, big money signing, is Ten Hag's player. He wants to prove that he made the right decision, which I get. And with Rashford, obviously, he's showing faith in Rashford and showing him that he truly believes he is the marquee player that we all think he is, or can be, should we say, like he was last year. In goal, so obviously we had Onana. I've given him a 5 out of 10 this week. First half, no real involvements, nothing. A couple of simple saves, but he was pretty decent. 47th minute, he got caught out in no man's land again. I thought he had a really poor second half. The ball charged out to a ball that he was never going to get, and the ball was just looped over him. And if it wasn't for Martinez's reaction, we would have given up a goal right there and then. In terms of he should have done more for the second goal. Like I said, it was a corner, bounced to the defender. They took the shot. Nobody closed it out, and then he just stood there and let it bounce off his chest into the net. And then the third goal, I'm going to be honest with you, I think he's at fault for the third goal. The counter-attack, it gets to Varane as a 1-on-1, and they shoot it through Varane's legs. But he almost stood there and just watched the ball roll into the back of the net. Didn't react. Similar to what he did with Mane a little bit in AFCON. But he just stood there and just looked at it and watched it. And he almost turns his head before Onana gets to the save. Or before the ball gets into the back of the net, should I say. Moving on from there, we've got Luke Shaw, who I've given a 6.5 out of 10, with, did well with his overlapping runs, had a good assist for Højlund, very solid defensively today. I thought he had a good game, and you can see that he's made improvements already from the weekend. Moving on from there, we got Diego Dalot. I saw him hunting in packs today. I gave him a 6 out of 10. Not much involvement offensively. I would like to see some more involvement there, but I thought he had a solid game, should we say. At centre back, we had Martinez, which I've given a 7 out of 10 today. He got subbed on the 86th minute, but got a good run out today. He did get a yellow card on the 46th minute, which was what the foul that Onana got caught out of, but then immediately redeemed himself by clearing the ball off the line. I thought he did really well to organise the team from the back, and there were plenty of times where he was clearing and commanding in the box, essentially. Apart from that, we then had, obviously, Varane. I gave him a 6 out of 10 today. He got caught out for the third goal. Could have done a little bit better in terms of organising themselves in the counter-attack, but overall had a solid game. In midfield, I've got Casemiro, and I gave him a 6.5. She started off, and I thought we were going to have a situation where Casemiro was going to have a bad game, and 2 minutes in, he had earned himself a yellow card for a needless tackle. Didn't need to do it. Don't know what he was doing. It was reckless. Then kind of got himself into the game pretty well. Kept dropping in between Varane and Martinez, almost creating a back five, but also allowing the wing-backs to bombard because they had an extra body there, which was very effective today, and I think that's why in the first half we dominated the way we did. He then scored a goal, but was disallowed because he was offside with a good cross from Bruno and a great header from him. In the second half, he started off really well and started off, I would say, almost like a brick wall, because as Wolves dominated, he was the player that all of a sudden was in defence, clearing the ball away and sort of organising us over there alongside Varane and Martinez. But came off on the 70th minute. He did give away the penalty, which I do think was quite soft. But it was a mixed bag with him today, and because of that, I have given him a 6.5 today. Alongside him, we had Kobbie Mainoo, and I'm just going to say that, for me, man of the match today. Not only was he controlling midfield and spreading the ball out quickly and sort of getting... His passes were always forward, but he was keeping it simple, stupid, nothing too extravagant, nothing too complicated, until he scored a goal in the 97th minute, and what a big goal it was. He won us the game today. He got us out of trouble, dribbled past 3 or 4 players, including not making a player, and then when he had someone riding his shoulder, calm and cool collectively, slotted into the bottom right hand corner or the left hand corner of the goalkeeper, and then his celebration afterwards, he showed his mentality and how cool and collective he is, and he's definitely someone for the future who's going to be playing for us for many years to come. In front of him we had Bruno, and because of Casemiro and Mainoo behind, Bruno again got that freedom sort of roaming role today, and you could see that because of that he was able to create a little bit more. He had a solid game again, had an assist for the third goal, could have had another one with Casemiro, but it was chalked off for offside. He played a very good game today, and he led like a captain. On the right wing, we started with Garnacho. A bit of a quiet one for Garnacho. He looked dangerous, but didn't really create anything at any point in time in terms of goals or assists. He did have a good through ball to Højlund, who put it in the back of the net, but again Højlund was offside. He looked good on the breaks. He was good at running the ball into the corners and taking time, especially towards the end, until he was subbed off. And I thought he had a decent game, so I've given him a 6.5. And on the other wing we had Marcus Rashford, and it was a big call to start him. I stated I would not have started Marcus Rashford. I would have started him on the bench and made him earn it. But clearly the manager had different intentions. Clearly Rashford started the game playing as if he had something to prove. He was subbed off early today, but within 5 minutes he had already justified the selection with a great goal. Very cool, calm and collective. He also, every time he got the ball, he tried to take on defenders, which we haven't really seen Marcus Rashford do much this year. So it was nice to see his confidence starting to come back. He's starting to get a few good more goals recently, and all of a sudden he's looking a little bit more like himself from last year. And there wasn't even a smile today after he scored, and we haven't seen many of those from him this year. So it was nice to see that. And so I've given him a 7 out of 10. Up front, we had Højlund, who I thought had a very good game. He assisted the goal for Rashford with great control and a small touch and then getting out the way. And then he got an assist from Luke Shaw, who... A bit of a scrappy one, but like I said before, it was all about hustle and jumping in there and getting his body, and then got the last touch and it went into the back of the net. I thought he looked great. Not long after that, he closed down the keeper who could have easily had a second. He had a couple of one-on-one opportunities where he should have scored also, so he should have had more than one goal, and he obviously had the disallowed goal. And then he had one where he was setting up Bruno, and Bruno was wide open and then sort of missed it. Easily could have had 3 goals today, and should have had more than 1 goal today. But let's give him his dues. He had a very good, solid game. He did score his goal, and that's all we can ask from a striker. Moving on to the subs today, we had Anthony and McTominay came on the 72nd minute. For Rashford and Casemiro. Of note here, 2 minutes later, McTominay had scored a goal from the corner where Bruno crossed it in and gave him the assist, which made it 3-1 for us, which was great. He also had a few chances playing up front, which I think is something that should be explored. I have said this before in the past, that I actually think McTominay would play better as a substitute up front, and given our limited striker options, I think it's something that Erik ten Hag should explore. On the 86th minute, we had Maguire and Forson come in for Martinez and Højlund, and I feel like this is where we started to see, to be fair, from the first point that we started, the subs came in, we started to see the changes and Wolves dominated and taken over. It's almost like when our subs do come in, they're not at the same level as the first team, which we all know, which is why we've been struggling for the last few months. But even to hold down the fort for about 10-15 minutes, it looks like they struggle, which is probably why we're seeing substitutes happen for Man United quite late in the game, as where previously we've had them happen earlier, around the 60th minute. But we noticed Ten Hag tends to make late substitutions. And then on the 91st minute, he also brought in Johnny Evans. At this point, there was obviously a shift when Højlund did come out on the 86th, and McTominay pushed up front. And actually, I thought he did pretty decently. He got a couple open chances. He should have scored a second goal, because he was wide open with the goalkeeper. In terms of the game, again, there were 3 key things that I said that I wanted to see more of in my pre-match preview. I think the words I used were more freaking service to the striker, and I'm glad to say that we did see some more service to the striker today. And again, he got a goal from it. He should have had a couple more, but it shows that when we do get the ball to Højlund, he can finish the ball, and we just need to keep doing that and keep feeding him the ball. In terms of the second thing I wanted to see today was nothing down our side, which is the quote that Evra, Vidic and Ferdinand used to have with each other, which basically means nothing comes through the wings to get into the box. Analysing the goals, to be fair to the wing-backs, nothing did come down the side. It's just that unfortunately the goals came from a penalty, a corner and a counter-attack. All things that the corner should have been avoided. The penalty was what it was. It wasn't a penalty, but ultimately those have been given before, so we cannot complain. If it had happened in reverse and we would have been given it, I probably would have been saying, well, there was a touch or this, and well, a soft penalty is what it was. The corner, we should have done a lot better. We should have cleared that first ball in the first place. We should have closed down the initial shot, and then Onana should have done better in trying to save that goal. And then the counter-attack, we should never have been caught out. We should never have been pushing so many players forward in the last minutes of the game when we're winning 3-2. We should have played a short ball, kept it in the corner, say, come and get it. Instead, we get counter-attacked. We get into a position where it's Varane against, I can't remember who it was, but it was Varane in a one-on-one. And ultimately, the shot rolled through Varane's legs, and Onana just literally stood there, watch it going into the back of the net. Didn't dive, didn't react, didn't move. And I feel like he had enough time to at least react and try and save it. But it seems to be a common theme with Onana that anything goes down low, he just leaves it, and it's a different discussion. In terms of the third thing that I wanted to see today was the team working together as a unit. So that meant pressing together, it meant keeping possession together, it meant counters together. And actually the first half, we definitely saw all of that. It's when the subs started happening that we stopped seeing the teamwork occurring, and it's definitely something that needs to be addressed in training by Erik ten Hag, and having conversations with the team. And it may just be that the players off the bench are just not up to standard, but I think also a little bit of training on how they could limit the damage that they cause when they come on for subs, onto the pitch, should I say, would be something that I would be looking at. Final score obviously was 4-3. A great win for us, but let's be honest, we got a little bit lucky with a little bit of magic from Kobe Mainoo at the end of the game. And it's a game that we should have killed off at 2-0 and scored the third goal. Should never be sitting here at 4-3. We let them back into the game and it almost cost us. And had we not got that winner today, I guarantee you tomorrow morning the papers would have been calling for Ten Hag's head again. We should never have been in that position. On the positive side, we're up to 7th, which is obviously a great result for us now. We need to start clawing back some points against those leaders above us, and we need to try and get back into those Champions League spots. So it's a good result for us. Job done. Away against Wolves. Happy days, although a lot to work on. Guys, I'm going to end it there. If you are not already subscribed, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and then turn on notifications so you know whenever I'm coming on online or whenever I drop a video. See you next time.